Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Back at full strength. We got Declan back from the vacation and then the recovery day after the vacation. I think what people wanted to know in regards to the recovery day was, what time did your flight land on Monday?
Oh, my flight, you mean Sunday?
I'm sorry, Sunday, yes.
My flight landed at about 4 o'clock p.m. on Sunday.
Because there were some questions that if your flight had landed before, like if it was like early afternoon or earlier, that the day after the vacation off day is excessive. But if your flight lands toward the evening portion,
sure,
then you tack on. So people just wanted some clarification as to when the flight landed to make sure that the day after the vacation off day was all on the up and up.
No, I get it. You know, and to be honest, in this topic and off this topic, is anyone else's mind just like blown by the idea of flight travel? Like how like I woke up on Sunday in the complete opposite end south of the state, or country, excuse me, in Florida. And then like 7 hours later, I'm back doing my normal routine, driving a car in my own home state. Like it's just, to me, like the idea of flying, airline travel, like blows my mind every time, especially when I come home. I don't know why.
You know, I love that you brought this up because I'm in Arizona visiting my dad here this week, and I had a thought on the flight out here. So the pilot, first of all, you're in a bird basically 30,000 feet above the ground, and you're traveling, like Declan said, halfway across the country. These things didn't even exist 120 years ago, basically. Like we've had millions of years of the earth and civilization, and just in the last 120 years, we've built these trustworthy things for the most part that can just take you from, one place to 2,000 miles away. It's great. And I was sitting there, and this pilot was an over-communicator pilot. I don't know if you guys have had these before. And it was a Delta flight, so every time the pilot gets on the intercom to say something, it cuts off what you're watching, right?
It's very annoying.
So he literally came on like 14 or 15 times during the flight.
For what?
For just updates. You're in a gigantic bird 30,000 feet above the ground. Like, generally speaking, I'm just saying, like, getting some updates wouldn't be the worst thing, but we are so spoiled by it that by the time he jumped on for the 8th time to tell us that there might be some turbulence coming up, people were rolling their eyes and throwing their hands up like, come on, I'm trying to watch Marvel movies. And my in-flight screen that's sitting in front of me, again, 30,000 feet above the ground.
You know, that's a problem I've got. The choppy air thing, because they don't say they don't say turbulence. They say choppy air, right? Okay, you know what? When we hit it, tell me. Like, buckle your seatbelts.
You'll know.
You'll know.
Right. But I'm saying, give me the instructions. I don't need to know that we might, like, a lot of things might take place. In air travel, I don't need to know about the might. Like, so if it hits, tell me, put on your seatbelts. We're hitting some hit some chop.
Look at the flight attendants. How the flight attendants react to turbulence is how, if they're panicking, start to panic. That's kind of my barometer to the turbulence and the chop.
You know what though? They are pretty good. Like, I've rarely seen one get, unless it's a really bad one, I have rarely seen an attendant get uptight.
Oh my God.
Uptight. I will say this, though.
It's not supposed to sound like that.
When you do hit, the one thing that, though, that I didn't know until I hit turbulence a few times really bad, was if something goes wrong, you like lose your sense of perspective really fast. Like if you hit really choppy air, and I'm not talking like just a little bouncy. I'm where it literally starts to go up and down. You get disoriented quickly. So like I don't think that, because I used to think, well, if a plane crashes, I mean, you're basically thinking about this for how long before it hits the ground. I've realized you don't think about it for that long because it's so bad that you're basically passing out.
Well, that's awfully cryptic. Welcome into Mackey and Judd here. Daily
strength.
I used to travel a lot. And I want to assure you right now, if something goes wrong, don't sweat it because you won't really think about it.
So basically, you're going to die pretty quickly is Judd's main message here. Can't wait to hop on a plane later today. Thinking about that. This is daily Minnesota sports entertainment.
I love air travel.
On Mackey and Judd. We'll have a pecking order for you later that was requested by a listener at one point. But, I think we're pretty proud of the list that we've been creating on Purple Daily here. Right? It's a kind of a dead period, so we figure let's do some fun lists. Let's rank Judd's top 25 Vikings of all time, which we are now through the first 10 on Purple Daily. Last week, I ranked the top 20 current Vikings on the 2022 roster. So what better than creating lists? Reacting to lists. And Judd came up last week and said, looking at your list, Phil, for the Vikings to progress as a franchise, I think there's 5 players that need to be on that list in 2023 and 5 that need to come off. And I said, wow, don't tell me now. Save it for a later show because I think this deserves to be fleshed out in front of an audience here. And so lucky you guys on Mackey and Judd. Judd has brought 5 in and 5 out if we were to do that list, and we will next year, 2023 version of the top 20 current Vikings. And so the floor is yours, Judd, to present this however you wish. I know the banner says 5 best Vikings in 2023. That might not be a fully accurate picture that you're going to paint.
It's a hard thing to describe because I'm taking 5 guys that are on the 2022 list, and by the way, deserve to be there. So like this is not an indictment of your current list. This list, in my opinion, is absolutely fine. What this is there are 5 names that we'll get to. That I believe that there are 5 players, because this sport constantly evolves and changes, that you would prefer to see them replaced by when a year from now Phil does this same list.
Okay, so for the visual audience here on the Score North YouTube channel, you can see my top 20 Vikings on the current roster. And for the audio audience, I'll fly through this here real quick. I'll just go from top to bottom. Justin Jefferson, number 1. Danielle Hunter, Harrison Smith, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook are my top 5. Brian O'Neill, Adam Thielen, Zadarius Smith, Cam Dantzler is 9. People are bristling at that. I think he's the most underrated player on the team. Christian Darrisaw, number 10. Eric Kendricks, sort of declining last year a little bit, 11. Dalvin Tomlinson, 12. Harrison Phillips, 13. Jordan Hicks, 14. Irv Smith, 15. Patrick Peterson, KJ Osborne, Chris Reed, DJ Wanham, Alexander Madison round out the top 20.
All right. And so among the players that I would like to see replaced on your list, I will start at the bottom of your list. Alexander Madison is in the last year of his contract. I think Dalvin Cook stays put. I think that Alex probably gets offers elsewhere. I think he's probably gone. And that's not a bad thing. It's just the fact that if he stays here, he's going to stay in the same role. And I think that there's going to be a team or two that probably give him at least a promise of far more of an opportunity. And I'm fine with that because the guy I want to replace him is a guy who a year ago I told you offensively could really be a fun player in the Kansas City style offense. And now I think he's going to get that opportunity. Kane Wong. I think he should be 20 next year.
Okay.
He can return kicks. I mean, hell, the guy returned 2 kicks in 2021 for touchdowns. That's unheard of now. He also, though, has the ability where if you don't just say, well, he's our backup running back, so let's run him between the guards. If you say, you know what, no, let's come up with a package of plays. This guy has great speed. He's a great athlete. I think it's very plausible that Madison is gone and Kane Wong replaces him, not just as like a backup back, okay, he's going to be the backup back now, but as a player who brings a skill set that a guy like Kevin O'Connell can utilize very successfully to create problems for defenses.
And so to be clear, for this swap to happen, Wongwu would have to have a role this season. He would have to do something this season,
correct,
offensively and special teams to make you feel like, oh, okay, he's actually the weapon behind Dalvin Cook, and Alex Madison has fallen out of. I don't know. I don't think Alex Madison's just going to not see carries, but Wongwu will have to elevate above him as a weapon. Is kind of what you're saying.
Wongwu in the correct offense, I believe, has the ability in this era of professional football to have a package of plays that most guys probably don't get. The fact that the Vikings put Wongwu as the third back in games and ran him between the guards. Why? What are you doing?
And he wasn't great at that in college, right?
No,
It wasn't like a bell cow.
No,
yeah.
It's not his forte. His forte is going to be as a guy who you come up with, let's say, 5 or 6 plays for, and he's explosive, which I think if O'Connell doesn't find a way to use him, I'll be very surprised, because I think O'Connell's in place to do things exactly like that, which is what, we did not see, unfortunately, from the Zim and probably more appropriately Clint Kubiak offense. So
Okay. All right.
Kane Wong moves in, Alexander Madison moves out in a year.
Okay.
All right. This one won't surprise you. The next one, and I think it's a very fair switch. And I do think that there is still going to be, I think there's a process here at right guard where I don't know that the starting right guard in 2023 is on this team. So Chris Reed, who you've got at 18, comes out. Ezra Cleveland, who is going to be the starting left guard, and who I think has proven himself to be solid but not spectacular. Ezra Cleveland takes another step and replaces Chris Reed.
Okay, I thought you were going Ingram here. I feel like this is a twist here. Okay.
No, because you said it yourself, and you're right, Phil. Ingram, I can't guarantee you he's going to play enough right now. So, that would be nice, but we don't know if he's going to play. I will say this. In the springtime camps that were just completed, he didn't really have a role yet too much. So I think Ingram might be a guy who moves into far more of a role next year, but I don't know that he would make the list at that time. He certainly could and probably should for 2024. But I think Cleveland is going to prove himself in this structure to be good. And right now I think he's solid and he's not bad, but I think we're going to be able to remove the but from Cleveland's scouting report in a year.
Pun intended there?
Yeah.
But can he do this? Can he do that? I think that's going to come out. No pun intended. This is just straight football X's and O's. Ezra Cleveland, 18.
Okay. All right, so far, Wongwu in, Cleveland in for next year. Madison and Reed out. Are Madison and Reed off the roster?
Madison is, because he signs elsewhere.
Agreed.
Reed, I don't know.
Or maybe Reed is the starting center. Maybe Reed is. Maybe he's back in. Maybe he's back in as the starting center.
Reckless speculation meets X's and O's. My God.
Meets listicles. Oh my
I
God.
love it. Oh my head's exploding.
Meets reactions to listicles.
I can't do all this. I can't do it all. Oh my. I'm too old for this. My heart can't take it. All right, that's 2 guys. Third guy. At number 16, you have Patrick Peterson, who I think will be gone. 2023, his contract exists with the Vikings for 23, but it's a void year. I think he's gone. Now, this one gets a little bit dicey because I don't know how much this guy is going to play in 2022, but he is a second-round pick, and I think that there is a feeling that health provided, he's going to step into a starting role probably in a year. Andrew Booth. So he didn't take part in the spring camps because I think he had a late season surgery after college or during the course of the college season. And he's definitely a guy who, according to what we read post-draft, would have been drafted higher except for he was hurt. I think Peterson is going to fulfill a role of being a stabilizer both on and off the field. But at his age, I don't see him being around for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think it's necessary, and this might be a bit of a reach, but I think it's necessary for the advancement of this team that Peterson comes off in a year, Andrew Booth goes on. Yeah,
you can't. I mean, the Vikings defense is I feel like is half composed of guys over the age of 30, right? So at some point, a guy or two has to come off, and young players have to step in. So I don't think this will be, an unceremonious dumping of Patrick Peterson. I think it'll be hey, thanks for a couple great years. We got some young guys here that are ready to step in for less money, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. Maybe he'll just retire and do media because he's going to be great at media at some point. Maybe he'll join the Vikings Entertainment Network. I don't know.
I would advise him not to do that. There's money elsewhere where you could actually rip people and be honest about it.
I mean, maybe these teams are going to start forking over huge contracts to former players. You never know. All right, so we got Wongwu, Cleveland, Booth in. 2 more to go.
All right, 2 more to go. At 14 on your list.
I'll throw this back up here real quick. There we go.
You had newcomer linebacker, former Arizona Cardinal Jordan Hicks. he signed a 2-year contract, but there is a definite out after 2022, all right? Jordan Hicks comes off this list, and going on is a guy drafted in the 3rd round of 2021 as a defensive end from Pittsburgh, but he is now in the 3-4 scheme the Vikings are going to use, listed as an OLB, Patrick Jones II.
Whoa.
Interesting.
My understanding is from day one, behind the scenes, this guy has impressed. I think in a defense that allows him to showcase his athletic skills, which this should, this is the type of kid, I think, who can take a major step. Again, I think he fell victim to a large degree last year of the reluctance to play the draft class. He played a little bit, but I think he plays more. Hicks, again, I think is a stabilizing guy. And these guys are important. Like, it's important that the Vikings have a veteran presence of guys that can help in the room as well as on the field, right? But as things begin to change and morph a bit, I think you're going to look to get athletic and younger, and Patrick Jones II brings that. I think that he plays way more in 2022 and actually plays his way onto this list as an outside linebacker for 2023.
I find it really hard to believe, and I know that Rick Spielman lost his job for a reason. It wasn't like he was batting 1,000 on first-round picks, certainly, but I find it really hard to believe that he just completely botched and sabotaged that draft class. It was a disconnect between him and the coaching staff, and Mike Zimmer just didn't want to. Mike Zimmer was coaching for his job, and was like, sorry, I'm not going to pay attention to Kellen Mond. I'm sorry, I'm not going to use the trinket special teams player. We got Dalvin Cook. I don't want to do this, right? So there's got to be some talent in that draft class. 2 or 3 guys that just haven't had a chance to show it yet. And maybe Patrick Jones is one of them. We've talked about Wyatt Davis enough, but doesn't seem like the new coaching staff sees a lot in him either. He's not even getting runs with the second teamers, and they drafted Ingram when they already had Wyatt Davis as an option. So, yeah, there's got to be a couple guys in that draft class that can do something for this team.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if going into 2023, Kellen Mond is gone. I wouldn't be surprised if going into 2023, Wyatt Davis is gone. Patrick Jones, I think, is going to stick.
So we've got Wong Wu, Cleveland, Booth, Patrick Jones, and before we get to your last one in, reacting to my list. That's right. This is a very meta episode of Mackey and Judd here. This reaction to a list is presented in part by our friends at Aquaside, Declan, reacting to lakeside weeds.
That's right. 4th of July is coming up. One of the best times of the year to get out on the boat and enjoy the pontoon weather. And you're gonna put your toes in the sand. It's 100 degrees in the Twin Cities right now. We're fine, warming up. You can jump in that lake, and the last thing you want to do is jump in that lake and feel that lakey murk, that lakey awkward, weed and algae at the bottom of your feet. It's the last thing you want to feel, right? Ugh, no, not a top 25 list of weed and algae, but I can tell you right now.
Top 25 things you don't want to feel with your bare feet when you put your legs in the lake.
It's there. And Aquaside can help you out.
A dead body, weed and algae.
It's up there. It's all up there. They have the Aquaside pellets, which can kill all that products off. They're safe products. They're registered with the EPA and DNR. Shipping is free, too. Check them out, aquaside.com, or stop in at White Bear Lake, aquaside.com to learn more.
Also, did you guys know we have a professional American Ultimate Disc League team in the state of Minnesota? And you can get, so there's a game coming up this Saturday, June 25th, 6 p.m. at Seafoam Stadium in St. Paul. $12 adult tickets, $5 youth, and kids 10 and under get in free. Use the promo code SCORE to get a free upgrade to the Surly Beer Garden and 2 free beers. And all adults 21 plus attending the game will receive a coupon for a free beer at Surly after the game that night as part of the official bar. So promo code SCORE will get you a free upgrade to the Surly Beer Garden, 2 free beers at the Wind Chill game this Saturday. Details at windchillultimate.com. Windchillultimate.com.
That's my club now.
Does Judd, are you more of a forearm when you throw a frisbee, or are you going overhand? Which one are you rocking with?
Oh, I'd probably go more forearm.
This is where
I haven't thrown a frisbee in ages.
Some of my ambidextrousness can come in because, like, when I'm throwing, if I'm like playing disc golf, like I will flick with my right, but if I'm going overhand, I'll go with my left. I have no idea why.
I am terrible at throwing frisbees, so maybe someone can teach me a new style. But I am. That's one of the.
Wind chill.
the worst athletic things I can possibly embark in.
Really?
Almost as bad as Judd shooting basketballs.
I was going to say, that's impressive.
really bad.
if you're really that
Ping
bad.
pong for me. Ping pong. Horrible ping pong player.
Yeah,
Can't play ping pong.
that's tough.
Hand-eye
All right,
coordination, baby.
who's the number one player that needs to be
All
on
right.
this top 20 list next year?
Okay, the guy coming off, this is going to be, again, highly controversial because when Zolgad does lists, he likes controversy. The guy going on will not be, but I think it's going to make sense, all right? Coming off this list is a man that caused a lot of fear towards Phil. But I did not disagree with where this guy was ranked, and I do think that there is a chance that he won't be back next season, and that is at number 11, Eric Kendricks, all right? Let me give you the specifics before I give you the replacement name. Eric Kendricks, the dead money on the cap, if he is let go after the season, is only $1.9 million. It's not that much. And look, there's a fighting chance as much as you love him. Oh, man, he's a great player. Yeah, he's been great. But there's a fighting chance he's just declining. Like, he plays a position at which you can get your ass beat up to the point where you just decline. And it's not like an affront to your career. It is just, it's a physical position. You make a ton of tackles. The body wears down. And going into his place is a guy who plays a position at which I believe that we are going to become convinced the positions are interchangeable. So a linebacker, I'm replacing him with first-round pick 2022 safety Lewis Seen. I think Lewis Seen, again, I think we're going to see some 3 safety packages. If you watch Seen play, he plays like a linebacker plays. He likes to blow people up, which is great fun. It is probably going to earn him a few flags. But when you look at the savings and the dead cap implications, which aren't big on Kendricks, and realize that Seen's role is going to grow, I think there's a very good chance Eric Kendricks is not back in 2023, and Seen needs to be on this list. It makes sense for me to actually put him fairly high. I think he's going to be a very, very key player for this team. Well, I think he's going to play a key role this year, but I think he's going to become a very key part starting next season.
Super interesting. Yeah, I think in general, guys getting older, so the Kendricks, the Petersons, the Hicks, it's always kind of hard, especially for fans. You see these players who were once incredible, but they always hit the same age cliff at some point, and you got to make tough decisions, and contracts are bloated. I think my biggest question would be, if Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks are coming off the roster, who are your inside linebackers in 2023? Because those are your big time tackling inside linebackers in this 3-4 scheme, and there's no obvious choice to replace them on the roster right now.
Developing new talent, cultivating it, and you guys are going to be amazed at how small the majority of linebackers this team is now adding are, and how big the safeties look. I'm telling you, we need to change our thought process largely on what defenses look like. Positionless football is here, and I'm here for it. Positionless football. Don't you guys laugh. Positionless football is here. And you know what? The backboard linebacker with the big shoulder pads who comes up and stuffs the run, that guy's going away.
Brian Cox, that's right. He's got an ironing board going up the back of his jersey.
Scotty Studwell, I loved you, but you're going away. Anyway.
Neck roll Scotty Studwell. So there it is. Those are 5 in and 5 out if Judd gets his way on the 2023 Top 20 Current Vikings list. This is a show